Hello, my name is Andrew Never. I am doing a science fair project for the Lafayette Indiana District that has been turned virtual, as you can tell because you're watching this in a video. My science fair project is, does gluten-free flour act the same way or better, not act, taste? Does it taste the same way as gluten flour or does it taste better than gluten flour? And it actually did taste better, but only one kind of flour. The rest of them either didn't work out or didn't taste as good or a weird texture. I tested 3 different kinds of gluten-free flour, which was almond flour, coconut flour, and brown rice flour. It's good to start off with that the brown rice flour was not given to people to survey because I deemed them as unsafe to eat. They were these ones, which I will show a close-up of at the very end of the video. Sorry. They were very crispy around the edges and sort of raw in the middle. One of my cousins tried them and he said that they tasted very salty, and so I just don't want anybody getting sick because of what I gave them to eat for science. The other 2 flours turned out just fine, and also the all-purpose flour, which was the control group. The almond flour won with 7 more votes than the all-purpose flour. Sorry that I keep on looking back at the board. I'm wanting to make sure that my numbers are correct. The reason why this is important, I hear you asking, through telepathy, I don't know, is that this helps with people who have celiac disease or other mishaps in their digestive system that makes it so that gluten is either hard or impossible to digest for them. They get to have a cookie, which is something that brings a little bit of joy to somebody's life. At the high school, which is where I'm bringing those tomorrow, the winners, the almond flour ones, I'm going to be able to give them out to some just strangers, and it's always nice to see their reaction, how they're just super excited that they're just like, I got a cookie, and I don't even know this person, and I know that it's going to be a great cookie because it tastes amazing. I like baking, in case you couldn't tell. With celiac disease, which is one of the main ones that makes it so you can't digest gluten nearly as easily, or not at all, compared to the majority of the population, is that their small intestines don't have a chemical that lets them digest the protein that is gluten, which is only found in some grain, which wheat is probably the most common of them. But there's a whole lot more kinds of grain that don't include this protein when mixed with water. And so there's buckwheat, which is kind of misleading because it does have wheat in the name. There's rice, there's almonds, there's coconuts, there's peanuts. Most nuts don't have these. I think all nuts don't have this, but I'd have to dig a little bit deeper with that. Sorry that there's some weird pauses. It's me just kind of thinking, what else would you question? Do I need to tell you the ingredients? I'm going to tell you the ingredients anyway. I need to look off this list, even though I've made cookies enough time that I should have this memorized. Is that you need 2 1/4 cups of flour, of all-purpose flour. For the other trials, I used 2 1/4 cup, no, I used 4 1/2 cups of almond flour because it is a more wet flour, and so if you don't add enough into it, then it's not going to suck up enough moisture because it's going to be adding a little bit of moisture every time it takes out moisture. And then there is coconut flour, which you use about 1/3 to 1/2 as much all-purpose flour as you would, and then you also add an egg for every, I think it's 1/3 of a cup that you use, which is what I did. And then a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, a cup of butter, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of regular sugar, and then 2 cups of chocolate chips, because they were chocolate chip cookies. The directions are pretty simple. You mix together all of the dry ingredients into one bowl, and then you not all of the dry ingredients, the flours, the baking soda, and the salt in one bowl, and you set that off to the side. You make, in a mixing bowl, you beat together butter, sugar, both the sugars, and also vanilla, which I forgot to list. You need a teaspoon of vanilla. So you beat together the the sugars, the butter and the eggs, and the vanilla, and then you add in the flour gradually, and then once all that is well combined, then you add in the chocolate chips, and you get to scoop them out however much you want, however big you want your cookies to be, and you put those in the oven at 375 for about 10 minutes. I just told you how to make cookies. I'm sorry. This video is probably all over the place. What other questions would be asked? What kind of survey did you use? I'm very glad you asked. I don't have any left because I saved them into the wrong part of my Google Drive. And then also all of the ones that I printed or used. I can grab one. Aren't I glad I'm at my house now? So, let me find one that has comments on it. Because most of them do. I just need to find one that's good. Ooh, beautiful comments on this one. So, you had to rate the cookies, which A was for A was for the almond flour, B was going to be used for the brown rice flour, C was for coconut flour, and then D was all-purpose flour. So, with this person, she or he voted all-purpose flour as number 1, voted coconut flour as rating 2, and then almond flour as rating 3. And then B was obviously rating 4. She wrote little notes about each one, which was A is chewy and moist, B is bye-bye because it wasn't there. C was, oh gosh, they're spread out more traditional, so they were a little bit more wide and not quite as poofy as the the almond flour ones were, because they held up the moisture and they kind of made a little bit more structure than all-purpose flour would make. The D were crispy and would be good for dunking in milk, which is a whole new barrel of monkeys. Thank you for your time and watching this video. Yeah, almond flour is a really good flour to make cookies with. You just make it be double the amount of flour that we'd usually use because of the amount of moisture in almond flour. Thank you.